Okay, very interesting. And well, let me ask you straight up: have you ever had a UFO sighting yourself, or anything strange other than like a flash like that you might have seen in the night sky?
I've seen everything I've seen can usually be written off as activity from the base.
Yes.
So
And
I personally haven't um, seen anything that unusual or that couldn't be explained relatively easily.
this includes probably other places that you've been other than the base. You still haven't seen anything that intrigued you in the night sky elsewhere.
Not really. Like I said, everything that I've seen is pretty easy to explain.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of meteors and different things as they flash and burn out, but um, nothing nothing that could be considered a UFO.
Oh, interesting. And I assume you haven't actually seen a Bigfoot either. In your career.
I have not. I have seen animals that I have no clue what they are, but uh, never Bigfoot.
Oh, interesting. So you've seen some kind of cryptid or animal that you couldn't identify then.
I have, and it was actually before I went into law enforcement, and it was not work related. I was in a car with my mother, and we were going home. It was late at night, and this thing just trots across the road in front of us. And first thought was mountain lion.
Ah,
Now this is around 97, somewhere around 97. So we didn't really have mountain lions in this area, or at least not reported mountain lions.
right.
So that was very strange. And it was not in a hurry. It wasn't running across the road. It just trotted across in front of us. And this is a relatively major road. So my mom had to slam on the brakes. There was no other cars, thankfully. But this thing turned and looked at us, and it stopped at the edge of the road. And it was not a mountain lion. Um,
Oh my
its
gosh.
bill, its bill was more like a cheetah,
Uh huh.
which that doesn't make sense because mountain lions are not built that way. It was not a mountain lion that was malnourished in any way because the way it was standing, no ribs were visible. It was not skinny in any way, shape, or form, but it had that cheetah build with a very deep chest and thin
Yeah.
abdomen. And the face was not right. It was uh, it was cat-like, but it was also dog-like. There were wrinkles in the muzzle and in the face, and I still have no clue what it was. None to this day.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. that is
And
that's an interesting sighting.
that also was within a very short distance of the national forest.
There you go.
So,
Yeah. Those things are happening. I think many times in those national forests, state forests that people don't even understand, and we all need to be wary, of course. But I'll bet that really caught your mother's attention as well.
oh, absolutely. And she remembers it to this day, too. I mean, this is it. And she's the same way I am. We cannot explain it. We don't know what it was. And you have to understand, my mother especially, she grew up in as a child in the 40s and 50s, and in a rural area. They didn't have electricity when she was a child. They got water out of a cistern. So she grew up knowing every animal, everything that could possibly be in the woods or be a threat or, whatever. And then she taught me, and my dad taught me, because we were always outside, always hiking, always lived in the same general rural area where, we don't have cities, we have animals. And for us to not be able to identify an animal that we see is that's not normal.
And the fact that it's stuck with you all your life, it sounds like that you do remember that. Those moments kind of freeze in your mind, when you are confused by what you see.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I've seen all kinds of animals, and even looking at exotic animals, I still have never found anything that matches what that was.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, it's almost like people see these creatures called Dogman or, Mothman and those kinds of things that cannot be identified. They never see them again, but sticks with them the rest of their lives.
Right.
Well, Liz, I have an idea right now, because I think it would be kind of fun to get another person on the line who would be interested in hearing some of these stories, and we might even get into some of the off topics here, including some of your ghosts that I've heard of as well. So, if it's all right with you, what I thought I'd do is call in Mary Kennedy, who is a member of our UFO I-Team. She is a certified hypnotherapist as well, and might kind of have some interesting questions for you or input as well. How about that?
Sounds good.
Let's see if she is available. It'll be ringing here, and then we'll see if she picks up.
This is Mary. Leave a message. Thank you.
Mary is not picking up. Good for her. Well, I will continue to bug her here if I can. But the idea is that Mary Kennedy is a hypnotherapist trained by the famous ufologist and hypnotherapist Dolores Cannon. And I don't know if you have heard of Dolores, but she's passed on now just recently, actually, within the last year or so. And she is the member of our I-Team who is able to actually regress people hypnotically and come up with maybe a little bit more information that they've, that they have not been able to recall, under the normal circumstances. Have you ever heard of that being useful in law enforcement even?
I've heard of people trying to use it in law enforcement, but it usually, when it is used, it's usually not admissible in court. So that's kind of a fine line.
I've heard that as well. Being the paranormal lawyer, of course, it's the kind of thing that you aren't able to typically use as evidence in court. Although I have heard that sometimes law enforcement will use that as kind of corroboration, or at least try to get further information out of a witness, for corroboration in other ways as well. So sometimes it is admissible, not as the facts of the case, because it would be hearsay, but just as the ability for people to kind of recall a little bit more detail, possibly.
Hi, Michael.
Well, there she is. Thank you, Mary, for picking up there. Can you hear us okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, and I was listening to you online, and I heard you call, and I heard my voicemail pick up, but my phone never rang. I thought, that's weird, and then a couple minutes later, it rang. So,
well, there you go. The powers that be are messing with us again there. So, Liz, can you hear Mary?
I can.
Oh, wonderful. And Mary, can you hear Liz?
I can hear her.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for jumping on here with us. We are speaking with Liz Reeder, of course, and she is the paranormal mystery. Liz, do we call you a paranormal mystery author, or is this a mystery writer who just does paranormal things as well?
I listed as sci-fi action, so I don't know. I've got a book planned that is nothing to do with paranormal or sci-fi, so I'm really not sure what you should call me right now.
Well, that is interesting. And Mary, I was telling Liz that you are a member of the UFO I-Team and that you are our trained hypnotherapist and also trained in regressive hypnotherapy. And I mentioned to Liz that you were trained by Dolores Cannon. You might want to mention who Dolores Cannon is for the listeners and also bring Liz up to speed on that.
Okay. Well, Dolores Cannon is also an author. She's written several really intriguing books. And she and her late husband, well, she's also passed now, but they had developed a style of hypnosis which she calls quantum healing hypnosis technique. And the gist of it is that you regress somebody, take them through some past lives, and the past lives that you go through are going to be the most appropriate to whatever questions, conditions, whatever it is that you want answers for in your present life. Because once you get through the past lives, then we address higher self, source, God, whatever the person wants to call it, and ask for answers, ask for healing, ask for advice. This just depends on the individual what they want to bring forward from their own higher self or their own, whatever they consider source or the universe or God, whatever they call it. They're tapping into this higher power to get guidance, to get healing, to get advice, and it's really a fascinating process because people are all over the map when you regress them. Some people go back into their own childhood in this life, and some people go into past lives on other planets. Some people go into past lives on this planet as a non-human entity. So,
Liz, did you hear that?
I did.
I think that is kind of a cool idea for not maybe a prequel, but the idea that someone could be coming back in a past life as another entity. Is that what you're saying, Mary?
Yes. I had one person who after the whole session was done, we discussed it, and our best estimate is that she was going through a past life as an Anunnaki in like really primitive times, before the advent of modern civilization and everything. And it was just it's really interesting. So, and another person I regressed was a crystalline being on a planet that was almost entirely covered by these crystalline beings. They wouldn't have been a life form as we would consider it, but the interesting thing was that not too long after we did that session, was it NASA or It might have been NASA. They discovered a planet, and they were calling it the Diamond Planet because it has some crystal structure